Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? I am Jay Bosa, and joining me today is Mike Akamo.
How's it going?
And today we're going to discuss a tragedy that just happened in Jacksonville, Florida, at a Madden tournament, which could be considered esports. There was a shooting. There was a deranged loser, from what I understand. He lost his game, and then he went after the people that beat him with a loaded weapon. Mike has some details. Mike, what have you found so far on that?
So when it first was reported, they said that 4 people were killed, but now the number's down to 2, including the shooter who took his own life. 10 other people are shot, and apparently the suspect walked past hundreds of people and targeted these specific people. So it seems that this was a pretty simple case of a guy who lost at Madden, got really angry at the person who won. I don't know if the person being killed actually beat him directly, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and shot him, killed him. So it's this isn't really a mass shooting, but it's being reported as a mass shooting. It seems like a targeted homicide for, this wasn't like at random. It was like a homicide, specifically one person trying to kill it, well, actually killing another person.
Well, I think what you're forgetting is that because 2 people died, it looks like a direct murder, but 10, 11 people got hurt. Now, were they shot at, or were they in the crossfire? Like, for instance, if he was targeting 2 people, did the people behind them, because, if you're bad with firearms, you're going to shoot people behind that person. So were they unintentionally hit, or did this person just unload on everybody and just...
I don't know. They don't really go into details on that. And it's only been a day or two, so it's kind of, the details are kind of gradually going in. But just another shooting, and another time where we talk about gun control and mental health and video games, and it's weird because the narrative is kind of evolving. Like when Columbine happened, people were blaming Doom, and they were blaming the guns, they were blaming everything, and then it became like now it's an actual video game competition in which there was a shooting. So, and it's a strange thing because I'm trying to kind of be objective about all this and trying to figure out answers, because I think we're at this point we're almost bored of shootings because they're so
Did
they
identify the shooter? Does the shooter have some sort of identity, some sort of... I'm sure they'll tag them with a cultural background or some sort of racial background.
I mean, the strange thing about what happens anytime there's a shooting or like this, or a mass murder, or when someone runs over people with a bus or anything, there's always an attempt to paint the suspect as a them. Like they're a them because of XYZ. And it's always a weird thing when, like, a radical Muslim kills a bunch of people versus a crazy white guy or a crazy black guy. There's always, like, a weird thing that happens in the media.
Yeah, I just saw a meme. And the meme, it was almost like predicting what the story was going to be. So if it was Latino, build a wall. If it was a Muslim, ban Muslims. If it was black, well, then it was Black Lives Matter. It's crazy. And if it's a white person, then it's like... oh, well, we need to work on mental health, and we need to work, those issues, like the softer issues.
It's a strange attempt to defend someone's own self, if that makes sense. Like, it's like a self-defense mechanism where, like, something bad happened, someone else was responsible for it. How do I feel safe now? Well, this person has to go away. Like, I can't send my own racial, my own race away because I'm a white man, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be like, well, we need to ban all white people, but if you're a white person and an other comes in, then it becomes acceptable, quote unquote, to say, well, we have to get these people away because they're dangerous. You know what I mean?
I don't think the media actually has, they're always going for a narrative, and they don't have one. Like, they can't say video games make you violent, and they can't identify a particular group. This was just a deranged person at an esports event.
I mean, it's always weird because now the suspect apparently was hating on Donald Trump supporters on Reddit.
Oh, no, of course.
So, of course, the right is going to have the angle. He was a radical liberal who, but then it's why would he kill esports players? Like, it just becomes like a really muddled mess of, like... And I think we should just give up on that concept of identifying the reason why this person is an other and then going from there. I just think it's all just a waste of time at this point.
And just to broaden the spectrum a little bit, one of the dangerous things that the left is doing is they label everything. And I'm not saying all liberals label, but the majority of liberals, they feel like they have to identify. Like that's why we have other things with the transgender and all the pronouns. Like they want to label everything.
Sure.
So therefore, there might be. We don't need to label anything. We have someone that lost and was aggravated and started shooting people, versus a deranged. I want to identify their race or their. And it's just a crazy deranged person thought that this was their only outlet to get some gratification for losing, and they did a terrible thing. I don't think we need to make it. I don't think we need to identify anyone or anything.
Well, the frustrating thing is that in the left, quote unquote, we all use the terms left and right kind of broadly here, but the left has this problem where I guess it's a neo-Marxist way to look at the world, where everything is about power, everything is about identity, and if you're not part of the ruling class, you're part of the oppressed. It's kind of Jordan Peterson angle on this, and the antidote to all this stuff is just treat everybody like an individual, yourself included. Just be an individual. That's what separates Western civilization from everywhere else. I mean, I don't want to collectivize people anymore. I don't
either.
It's a waste of time.
Either. I'm tired.
It's like it's so fucking boring at this point.
It's our podcast.
Yeah, I can express myself freely. But I just think it's a boring way to look at the world now, and it doesn't work. And the way that you not become a liability in this world is to take care of yourself first, your own mental health.
Yes, I was saying this.
Everything. Just first and foremost focus on you, because that's something attainable. You can do that right now. You don't have to wait for someone else to change. You don't have to wait for a policy to happen. You have to wait for a law to pass. Just take care of yourself first. I mean, there could be someone out there listening to another podcast, who knows, that is actually thinking about going into a school or going to a video game competition and shooting people.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
It's a scary thought, but let's just talk about it right now. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about murdering people, I can run on this if you want to think about this. If you want to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Let's go. I'm going to let you go.
I think I can freestyle.
We got to make sure that we wholeheartedly believe in giving everyone an out on their ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
So if he wants to regress later, he will pull this back. You make sure you keep watching the podcast if he wants to pull this. Go ahead, Mike.
No, but you just have to actually hit the nail on the head right now. Everybody deserves an out. If you have a terrible idea, you need to have an out where it's like, I don't have to act on this terrible idea. I can rationalize it. I can find the morality in my own flaws and not do something completely batshit crazy. Now, if anybody's out there thinking about murdering other people for dumb reasons, let's just get real here. This guy in Jacksonville, it's a really beta move to lose at a gaming competition and then to lash out with murder.
You're going to judgment of character.
I'm going a little judgment on this.
You're really going in.
I'm going in.
I'm going to have to stop you soon.
I'm going
to give you like 30 more seconds.
But apparently it's one of those things where this is a hyper competitive person who lost at a game. And he felt bad about losing. And then all that anger and all that self-shame, he lashed outward and killed a couple of people for really terrible reasons.
And hurt a lot of people. He
hurt
intended to hurt more.
Yeah.
Maybe even kill more.
I mean, forget about the blame game of guns and SSRIs, I guess, whatever you want to say. I mean, who the fuck knows what was wrong with this guy. But that's never the move.
No.
It's never the move to act violently against people who are not violent in return. Like, self-defense is one thing, but this is actually obviously an example of just first-degree premeditated murder that has no positive effect, no purpose. It's just wasteful and stupid. And it's common sense to say this, but people just have to realize, like, don't do the dumb things. Like,
well, I mean, what leads up to that? So, for instance, I used to run video game events. I went to Twitter. I used kind of like my remnant. I'm not celebrity, but like my remnant knownness as a guy that ran these events. And I kind of might have sounded mad, but the people that need to listen to this don't need anger. They need reasoning. And I kind of want to go back and not retweet, but kind of fix my story. And what I was saying was, if you feel like this, playing something that's a virtual experience, you're essentially controlling a virtual experience. It is not your body. You are using your mind, and you're using some coordination. But it is a virtual. It's a competition, And at the end of the day, granted, sometimes there's prize money, and you may really need that prize money or whatever the case may be. But when it comes down to something virtual, and we were talking about this in our video game cast, if that's there, you could search about it. But your identity, your sense of your ego, your sense of self, your identity, there's more going on. If you are that angry or you can't handle a loss within a virtual environment, there's things you need to work on yourself. You shouldn't be looking to some sort of virtual experience to identify yourself. Because essentially, if that virtual experience didn't exist, you don't have an identity.
Yeah.
And that's what I was kind of saying on Twitter.
But in your experience doing gaming, did you ever see real anger, real lashing out? Not cursing and yelling, but like physical violence. Like, did you see any of this at all?
Yes.
Can you talk about that, please?
Okay, so at one of my events, they know who they are. I'm not going to mention them.
That's fine.
But a long time ago, when my company was brand new, at one of my first events, there was a very small exchange of hands. It wasn't very long. I mean, people will blow it out of proportion, like, whoa, oh my God, they unleashed. It was one person talking a lot of shit about another person, and it's frustrating because this person will talk shit to anyone.
So wait, it was someone who was known as being a shit talker, and they essentially went too far. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Habitually, this person can go too far. I'm sorry. I keep strobing the cameras.
Yeah.
Habitually, this person went too far, but then again, I don't think so because this person was retaliating in the best way they know how, and a lot of people would gang up on this person. I don't want to get into logistics, but
that's a competitive thing. Like, you mind fuck the other person. Like, you talk trash. You try to get in their head. It's a very common thing among competitive people, right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But I mean, what I had to do, that was a learning experience for me, for someone that hosted these events. I had to say, keep the trash talk in the game. You know, if you're a bad shot, make fun of them for their gun skill. Yep. If they don't know how to run and they're clumsy, make fun of them in the game for that. Do not talk about their mother. Do not, you know what I'm saying? Like, do not talk about their mother. Do not tell them they have cancer. You know. Yes, I've heard worse too. Mike.
I love I have to, guys, no cancer talk, all right? No cancer talk.
Well, to eliminate that, I said keep it in the game.
Sure.
But it got very personal. There was an exchange of hands. It was over within less than 10 seconds.
Sure.
But they will the community will still talk about it. They still remember it. And it's one of those things I just wish never happened. You know, this is one of those things that, like, if they could just hold their own shit, it's just a game. It's a competition that you both agreed to be in, or the team. There's a team there. Yep. So a team agreed to be in this competition, and you have teammates that should kind of help you keep your cool. But it didn't happen, and it actually escalated way beyond that. It spilled over into a different event, and you know this character would say racial slurs and stuff like that, and I got targeted like I condone it.
What do you mean?
Well, for instance, like you know how the NFL is having this big thing with everyone taking a knee. So essentially it was just Colin Kaepernick making a statement. He is making an individual statement, and some other people got on that. Well, a lot of people actually understood his statement.
Kind of like a guilt by association type deal, where like if you're not kneeling, you're doing this, and like everybody kind of finds these teams.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
See, because when I host an event, I'm the NFL. But in the NFL, there's players, there's individual players. When you have those players, there's a lot of personalities, and I'm not the personality police. I am not. It's not my business really, because they're not representing me. I want the players to come to my event. I don't. If I'm not paying attention, anybody could come to my event. But where I drew the line was, I had to sit everybody down that was part of this debacle. I'm like, do you officially feel threatened? If you come to this event and this person comes to the event, is there going to be a reason to get the police involved? And they both kind of were like, no.
Well, that's a reasonable response. I mean, if you think about it, like, wow, I really don't want to get the police involved on this. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of weigh the pros and cons of your actions. And some people don't have that ability to weigh the pros and cons. They're just feeling and reacting, and then that's where you have chaos. You know? So.
And so, to me, if an official response was necessary, then we have a real problem.
Yep.
But because they were throwing some racial slurs around and like cancer and racial slurs, dude, it got ridiculous.
It's all about cancer and racial slurs, man, in the video game world. Let me tell you.
And you know, it's shit talk. It's trash talk. And if you're accepting it as real, you're almost at fault. Because you don't have to. You don't have to accept that. You could just accept that you have a deranged person that's just trying to get under your skin any way possible. They're saying some asinine stuff. Ignore it and feel bad for the person that they're resorting to that. Like, damn, you really have to come at me? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to come at me with this? Like, really? Like, you should have, you have problems, right?
Yeah.
But it escalated so much because of the racial slurs that they made it a racial thing upon me. Like, I'm condoning this. I am aware of it, therefore I should do something about it. Now, the thing was, I'm just hosting Gears players, so essentially it's a Gears community thing. Excuse me, I didn't want to say the game.
That's okay, don't worry.
But it's a community thing. It's not my company because I have open enrollment. And so I had to ask the person in question to just not come. But I wanted to make it clear that I did not ban that person. I asked them not to come because I feared for them.
Well, that's it's interesting how you worded it like that. I mean, a lot of people, this sounds preposterous, but I'll say it anyway. A lot of people are essentially saying that, like, I don't want these people to come to my party anymore. Like gun people or people on SSRIs, you know, like, I don't want them to come to my party because I'm having a good time here and I don't want gun culture around.
Can you explain SSRIs for people
I forgot
that don't understand?
the abbreviation. I'll look it up, but it's
look it up while you're explaining your point.
Let's see. It's essentially like for mental disorders, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor.
Gotcha.
So it's for people who have, I don't want to butcher this, but it's manic depressive disorder, anxiety. It's an antidepressant essentially. But a lot of people are on these things who do mass shootings, and my understanding is that reality becomes very slippery when you're on these type of things. Like you don't really know the difference between reality and pretend.
It's almost like you're chemically forced to think a different way.
But let me shift gears slightly, but it's all going to kind of relate over.
Okay,
I heard
we'll get back to this.
I heard Jerry Seinfeld on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I forgot the episode, but he made a pretty funny observation about racing. Like anytime you look at a race, like NASCAR, boating, swimming, whatever it is, right? Everybody's picturing what's going on there. Any time of race, running, whatever. It all seems to be a flashback of the sperm going after the egg. You know what I mean? But it's kind of a funny observation because it's all the same shit. Like we gotta get there, we got it. You know, like, you understand that the parallel?
I'm trying to stay with you,
but it's a funny thing to think about because, like, anytime someone has this thing, I gotta race, I gotta win, they're just having flashbacks of the first race that they won, which was their existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, if you relate to that, what's going on, and trust me, I'm gonna try to.
I'm trying.
Hang in there, hang in there.
Distance here.
But essentially, all these things that we're dealing with right now are extensions of something in our past, something in our primate ancestry that we're dealing with. So all these emotions dealing with competition, it all traces back to essentially resource management. Like back in the day,
big issue you're just tagging on right now.
But like resource management was very, you had your tribe. And you had your resources, and you stole resources from other tribes to feed your own tribe. That's what football is, too. Football is essentially that mentality. Like, we're on a field. We're fighting for resources. Fuck the other team. They do not deserve our resources. The resources became abstract in points.
Yes.
But it's food, it's water, it's animal flesh. You know, like, that's the
oh, man.
But like that's the currency that people had all these years, and then it became money, and then it became gold and territory. Also territory. We're fighting for territory. Go get those 10 yards. You know, like who gives a shit about the 10 yards? Like,
yeah, really.
It's a temporary feeling of I have this land and then someone else is taking my land. But we have to think about these things in the future as forget all this stuff. Like this is all like our ancestors dealt with these emotions and it made sense, but we don't have the same thing anymore. We kind of do, we kind of don't. So to got to bring it back to this case, this guy felt humiliation based on he lost something.
Yeah.
We don't know how to lose anymore, apparently. Like, sometimes you fucking lose in life. Sometimes you win in life.
Well, see, that's what I was mentioning to you earlier. Like, what did you lose, right? Because I was saying this is a virtual existence. This is a game. This exists in a virtual environment.
But he was a successful player, is my understanding. Like, he had some victories. Like, he wasn't a complete loser. Like, he had ups, he had downs. And he loses this one time, and he just snaps and decides to kill two people. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm trying to just process everything, but...
what I'm getting at is, I think everyone has the capability of taking something way too seriously.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And there's always that moment that everyone can relate that you say, "Hey, relax. You know, like it's just a game, fucker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, like you don't have to take anything too seriously. Like the only thing I could see where I see people snapping the most is when your lifestyle is getting curved, right? And that happens usually when someone is getting terminated or fired from a job and they are escorted out, right? We know going postal is a thing because post there was a thing with, you know,
back in the day.
I don't want to explain that, but
Google it. Yep.
That I can understand is a breaking point. Like you are curving someone's life. Like you're derailing their income. You're derailing how they survive.
Yeah.
I can kind of see. It's still no excuse. You could always look for another job. You got friends. You got skills. Go look for another job. But they're assigning the job to their identity and their personality. Just like I think this individual assigned this game and their ability at this game to their identity, and it was threatened.
Yeah.
And when you don't feel like you have anything else, it's worth killing for.
That's a very astute observation. A lot of people really have nothing else going on in their life except XYZ. This guy was Madden, essentially. Like there was no other outlet for him to feel like a winner. So when that was taken away, that's a wrap. I mean, and the ironic thing is that what this guy did isn't exclusive to this guy and this situation.
No, it's not. That's why we're talking about
It's a universal human thing where one thing can go wrong and all of a sudden someone snaps, someone just punches someone randomly and kills someone. That happens all the time. We're just that one more, you know, fuck this guy. You punch him and then all of a sudden his head hits the back of the concrete and now you have second-degree murder or whatever it is, or manslaughter or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Shit happens in this world, you know, and the more people that can control their emotions, control their anger issues, just control as much as possible, and you have an outlet to stifle all these things. I mean, you have to actually express how angry you are sometimes. I mean, it's a weird thing because hearing Chuck Palahniuk, is that how you pronounce his name, I think, on the last Rogan podcast, he was talking about but he was talking about Fight Club and how that was a very necessary thing where a lot of men don't have I have my group of guys, we're going to go camping and just sit around a campfire, have some drinks, and just talk. Like, there's not a lot of that going on right now. And if someone actually went up to me and said, listen, I'm thinking about shooting up a place, what do you think?
Damn, like,
here's the thing, man. I want to empathize, not sympathize. I guess there's a difference between empathy and sympathy.
Sympathy is like you kind of support the person.
But it's more of like I've been there before. Sympathy, like I've been there, I sympathize, but I haven't been there, but I empathize. You know what I mean? So I'm never gonna know what it's like to shoot up a school or want to shoot up a school.
Never.
It's never gonna come up. But some people have had to shit roll the dice where they have these feelings. Here's the thing: we have a lot of things that haven't worked the past 20 years in dealing with school shooters. You know what I mean? They haven't worked. And one of the things is, if someone has some really murderous feelings, they don't have anywhere to talk to. Because if you talk to someone and say, listen, I'm thinking about shooting up a school, guess what? You're going to jail, right?
Yeah, there is no recourse from that. Like, if you admit that there's a dog here.
Yeah, it's okay.
if you admit that you want to do harm to other people, there is a threshold that you cross that you're essentially not going to be allowed back from. Just like I said, you need an out on a discussion. You said that.
Yeah.
Like, if I said something wrong and I realized I said something wrong, let me correct it, right?
Sure.
So if theoretically, disclaimer, we're doing this for the podcast, not that I feel like this at all, but if I said, hey, Mike, you know, I am really angry and I'm going to go to work, and I really feel like just getting rid of a couple people there that bother me every day.
Yeah,
that feels weird to say.
It feels horrible, but here's the thing: people need to be able to do that because you'd have less of these shootings. Because if someone has a community where it's like, look, I'm in a real weird spot, talk to me. Sometimes the answer is, hey, I can't help you, but let's talk to someone who knows what they're talking about. You know, let's have a discussion. Let's have a couple of beers, talk to a psychiatrist. I'll be there with you if you need my help. Let's talk it out. But my point is this: like, if you have people always suppressing how they feel or what they think or anything, people express that in indirect, violent ways. So, like, there's a video online, a couple of them, of I was almost a school shooter, and people talk about it.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I couldn't bear myself to watch them, actually, because it's a little too disturbing for me, but I gotta go down that path and research this thing more, you know? But the point is this. People need a way to express the craziness of being a human, especially being a young, angry man. Young, angry men need to be able to talk openly. And, like, I think so many men are afraid of the repercussions of talking like that. It's not a mystery. Obviously, you can't just say I want to be I'm thinking about being a school shooter. Help me. People need to help me. Just help me out, man. How do I deal with these anger issues? How do I deal with these rage issues? How do I deal with suicide? Because this guy ended up killing himself.
Yeah.
How do I deal with suicide? Talk to me. And people are afraid to actually express themselves openly.
Dude, you know what? There's one big theme that we just keep steering towards it in this discussion. It's a sense of identity. Like, if we had to take the sense of identity out of this, can we find another motive to help this person? Like, is there any other way we could have helped this person? Like are they hungry? You know, like, I don't think the person was hungry and that person was supplying food. I don't think the person was poor and they needed this money to do something. It's a sense of identity. Like, there's no other motive. Like a cat, like a lion kills a gazelle because it's hungry and it needs to eat. That's why it's killing.
Yeah.
What? Well, I think I'm getting to the point here, but like, why did this person feel the need to shoot other people? They've always felt the need to shoot other people, and they're not necessarily guilty of anything, really.
Well, it's a weird thing because this is more Jordan Peterson stuff. I know I bring his name up too much, but
it's fine. He's a great guy. He's got some good points.
Dominance hierarchy. That's what's going on here. There's a dominance hierarchy everywhere, and one of them in the video game world, you are the winner, you're a loser, you're first place, you're second place, you're third place, doesn't matter. And his place in the dominance hierarchy was threatened because he lost, and that's kind of related to our primate monkey DNA again, because the dominance hierarchy is important to see who gets the money, who gets the women, who gets the land, who gets everything. And his place was threatened in the dominance hierarchy, and the only way he could lash out is by murder in his demented mind. You know, This is what happens. And obviously, it's like, dude, like.
Yeah, and you know what? To be honest with you, there is one thing, and it's not that the video game culture is guilty of this. It's just that you have the ability. Like, for instance, let's take the music industry for example. If you're a good musician as a child or as a teen growing up, you might you might be a Justin Bieber, and you might be thrown into, like, you are super talented and everybody wants to hear you sing or play, right? And so you have this tremendous sense of self, like you are a musician, you're a rock artist, whatever the case may be, and you've got money, and because you have money you have status, because you have status you have women, right? I'm almost embarrassed that I know that there's been gamers that feel that sense of status from playing a video game.
That's their primary motivation for gaming, because you want to be, I walk into a room, I'm the best one here. Now no. Not that you're the best one here, Mike.
Okay. You're the best one here, and you're going to get bitches. You're going to have hot chicks. You're going to have money. You're going to have nice things. You're going to have all these, like, egotistical, materialistic things because you're good at this game. It's not that you just want to play the game.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think that people essentially say, like, they have this overwhelming desire to be the best at something. And everybody from Arnold Schwarzenegger to Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, you know, any president, whatever, they have this kink in their personality where I want to be the best, no matter what. I want to be best dresser, best this, best that. And it's like a mental illness at the end of the day. Like, Michael Jordan was notorious for being a very unpleasant human being.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, he acted in Space Jam. That was a kid's movie. Like,
but you know,
supposed to love this guy.
My understanding is that he was so hyper competitive that if you beat him in a game of checkers, he would just not talk to you anymore. He'd be like, "You motherfucker! Like, you beat me in checkers."
I know people like this.
But here's the reason.
Girlfriends like this.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing: you have to be that crazy in order to be Michael Jordan. You have to be. Like, you can't be Michael Jordan and not be completely nuts. Because why would you spend millions of hours shooting a basketball without that as your primary motivation? I just want to be the best at just this one thing, you know? Larry Bird was just as crazy. Magic Johnson doesn't seem that crazy, but I guess he was that crazy. Kobe, you know, LeBron James, all these guys, they're all nuts. And there's nothing wrong with being nuts because, like,
there's nothing. Whoa. There's nothing wrong with being nuts.
No, nothing wrong with being nuts as long as you don't hurt anyone else on this level.
Oh, that's very libertarian of you.
Very libertarian, but like if you want to be crazy, go be crazy. Like,
just don't hurt anybody.
I will confess something. I've been playing chess for 15, 20 years, whatever it is.
Okay.
And I'm terrible at chess. I'm barely. I got my app on my phone. I'm on the average, like 5 out of 10, and I get fucking annihilated every time I play chess. I've won 2 out of like 400 games. It's ridiculous. But my point is this: people who go down the chess route, right? They become crazy. Like Bobby Fischer level, I'm insane. All I want to do is play chess for 10 hours a day and do nothing else.
Oof.
Like, if you want to be the best person at chess, you have to be crazy. Like, that's just the way it is.
That's very true. Can I make a parallel to this? I'm going to slide a parallel. Jordan Peterson was saying there's this disparity between men and women and the pay, what we earn to the dollar. And CEOs that make a ton of money, it's very similar to winning, like a competition. It's when you play sports and you're an athlete, though, the goal is clear. Be very skilled. Be good at what you're doing. When you're business, it's like commit to that business and really make sure it's thriving.
Yeah.
And so what Jordan Peterson was saying is that essentially the reason there's more men at that level, like that CEO crucial level, is because those men are more crazy than agreeable women.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, agreeable women are good at a lot of things, but being the best at lacrosse, you know what I mean? Like that's not your thing, you know what I mean? And it's kind of interesting when you're talking just now, kind of reminded me, like, that's the appeal of sports to begin with, because the goals are very laid out pretty clearly.
See, I always understood that.
I never really put that together until you said it just now. That's a reason why men find sports so appealing, because it's like, it's black and white. Whoever hits the basket, whoever scores more wins. Like, whoever goes along the field goal line wins. Like, I gave up on sports 15 years ago, so I'm not getting.
Let me slide something in here, right? I was a baseball player for a long time, right? Yep. I'm going to give you a little bit of a life story. Hopefully, I can keep within a minute.
Go ahead.
But I played baseball since I was like big. I was playing T-ball. T-ball grew into Little League, the Babe Ruth League. I did all until I got to high school. And then I got a different sense of self once I got to high school, right?
Well, go on, yeah.
Dude, I remembered I wanted to hit a home run so bad forever. Like, the cool kids hit home runs. I want to hit a home run.
Now, this is high school level baseball you're talking about?
No, Little League.
Little League. Okay.
In Little League, I hit my first home run in Little League. I still have the ball somewhere. I wrote on it. It's my first home run ball.
Sure.
I remember running around the bases and feeling this euphoric feeling like I hit a home run. The thing is, as a child, as a kid, you understand you did something amazing when you could do that.
Yeah.
You hit a home run. You scored for the team. Everybody's going to cheer for you. You're happy, right?
It's a drug. It's a rush.
Yeah, it's a rush. But like, that goal was clear. And when you start budding and becoming an adult, because we don't hear, thank God I don't want to jinx it, but we don't hear about young preteens shooting up schools, whether they can get access, right? It's always that, like, teenage on your way to being an adult and something's not clicking, right?
Yeah.
You know, or a deranged adult might feel this violence. But
it might be related to testosterone at the end of the day. Related somewhat to testosterone.
I mean, it's been all guys, right?
Yeah, testosterone levels, that type of thing.
But what I'm getting at, my experience was like, I knew that was a good thing. It was a great thing. And when I got in high school, right, I realized I'm playing a game. It's a sport. And I've been busting my ass all these years to play this sport. And it becomes political because there's 9 guys, how well you hit, how fast you are, if you can catch, if you can throw. My problem was I have a weird shoulder. I can't throw. And so I made the team, and I was already trying out, and I had to throw it back. I was an outfielder. I could catch, I could dive after the ball, but I had to throw it back. Every time I threw the ball, there was a problem.
Yep.
And
a problem in your shoulder would get fucked up or something? Or?
Yes, it was a problem for me, and it was a problem for the team. Because, like, we don't know what's going to happen if he throws the ball, right?
That's a problem for the team, guys. I don't know, like, yeah, okay, go ahead.
I threw it, like, I just wanted to connect with the pitching coach at the time, so I threw it. And I threw it, like, way over everybody's head.
Sure.
Like, it was nowhere near my target. Everybody was just like,
yeah.
And this was just practice. And so I remember the manager of the team. He was like, do a complex. He would punish you by saying, do a complex. So I'm trying to accomplish something good, do something right, and I got punished with the ultimate thing was to run.
What does do a complex mean?
Do a complex mean run around the complex, like run around the physical property that we were on, not just the field, not just the school. Run around the field, the school, the offices. You're gonna run around everything.
That's such an obnoxious thing to do. Do a complex.
Do a
like, motherfucker! I got to do a complex now. All right,
yeah. So you like do a complex, and I'm like, all right, fine. You know, like I did throw a ridiculous shot. So to get started, I start running. I still have my glove. I don't want to run with my glove.
Yep.
So I toss the glove out of the way where everybody else was so nobody trips on it. He thinks that's a sign of anger. So we are talking about anger and identity. So I'm challenging his authority by throwing the glove. Oh, yeah, you're going to make me run a complex? Fuck you. I never even thought about that, right?
No. That's funny. You have such a nice guy intention. Like, I want to put this over here so nobody trips.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing, asshole? Like,
yeah, so not only doing one complex, I'm doing two. Dude, I might not even get back to finish practice by doing two. So I'm doing my one complex I'm running. I'm like, do I want this? I'm playing a game. I'm not learning anything.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that doing this complex the 2 times made you give up baseball?
The one time.
The one time.
Because I started coming back after the first complex. I'm running on the. I made my decision. I'm not going to do this, right? And it was so liberating, dude.
Yep.
Because I freed myself from thinking I had to be good at this. Like, this was always a goal, and now I'm beyond it. And so I ran back to get my glove because I'm ready to come off the field. He's like, "Where's your second complex?" You know, I'm like, I'm gonna go get a job. I'm not gonna do this.
What did he say?
It's one of those liberating things. Like when you quit, your boss, all the power is gone. Or when you break up with your significant other, everything they say means nothing. Like, because you're free. And so it was really liberating. Like I made a decision. Like my identity, my sense of self. Like I made a decision to do something better for me. I'm not gonna take this abuse and this like mundane fucking consequence. I left. I got a job. I got some experience, and I'm still thankful because I worked at Blockbuster. Rest in peace, Blockbuster. You know. But it was like what I'm getting at. It was my identity was to baseball, to be a good baseball player.
Sure.
And because I was doing that complex and I had time to think, it was like meditative, right? Meditating is a good thing.
Reflecting, yeah.
Yeah. I came back and I'm like, this doesn't mean anything to me anymore.
Yeah.
And I got my glove and I ran right off, dude.
And you never play baseball again, huh?
Nope, I never played.
Wow. How old were you?
I think I was 13, 14.
Yeah. That's so interesting because this sounds really condescending.
No, 15 to 16 because I was able to work. I went to go get a job, so I had to be at least 16. So 15 to 16.
I got you. But I think a lot of people, they identify as a baseball player and a baseball fan, and that's their main identity, and they're nothing else when they're 40 or 50. They're just a fan or a former player of Little League, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why baseball is popular because people gravitate towards it so hard, and it becomes a father-son thing, too.
Yes.
You know, it becomes it's so emotional. I haven't seen Field of Dreams, and I don't want to because I might cry my eyes out. But, like, it seems like it's one of those things where once you're a baseball fan and you're hardcore, you're a baseball fan forever.
Well, let me
your
explain.
Team and all this stuff, there's a lot going on psychologically.
To make this loss even bigger, right? I'm a Puerto Rican American, and in Puerto Rico, it's huge. Like, we've gone to the Olympics. We're like the small country, but the small country can win the world in baseball.
Sure.
And my uncle, my father, they were all in like, this was the thing. Like, if I could have been a baseball player, they would have been so proud.
Right? There's nothing else that you could have done with your life better than being a baseball player, right?
They would have been so proud.
Proudest. I'm talking about nothing.
Yes,
being a doctor, being anything else would have been secondary to being a professional baseball player, right?
Yeah.
Right?
You got.
Yeah.
You got to put me up next to Roberto Clemente and Bernie Williams. Like, I'm in that tier of Puerto Rican. Like, make Puerto Ricans proud by being a baseball player.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. There's some people that still want to be good baseball players.
Sure.
But I was able to finally just like, you know what? I shed that whole dream. I was able to shed like the disappointment. I'm going to tell my dad this, my uncle this. I'm going to like it just happened.
See, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying it was like I was able to shed that sense of identity. All of a sudden I had that like, don't take this so seriously moment. Like, you want to take things in life serious. This, all of a sudden I realized, was not one of them.
Sure. That sounds liberating. It sounds like freeing.
It was.
And I mean, it's because when I'm listening to you talk, there's a lot of things that you're reminding me of, and it's interesting how you say that there's nothing else you would rather be than a professional baseball player, your family, whatever it is. But that's a universal thing that nobody talks about, because if you're a celebrity, that's kind of like my identity is I'm a celebrity, you know, or I'm a professional basketball player, or I'm a whatever, professional comedian, I'm a musician. I've been in, you know, there's countless examples of these identities that people, once they attain it, there's nothing better in life, according to those persons, than I'm a paid professional musician, okay? I'm a headliner of a Ozfest, whatever, you know, like, whatever you want to say. Like, I don't care. But, I mean, that could be so destructive to your personality, and that could be so pathological in a weird way. And there's a reason why so many celebrities are kind of crazy, because I'm a celebrity. I identify as this. you should treat me nicely. You should treat me with better than other people. You know what I mean? So it's this giant battle of being superior to other people, you know?
Yeah.
And it sucks. I mean, because am I what's the word? Am I less of a person because I have no desire to be a celebrity or a professional or anything? I just kind of want to be. I just want to be myself as much as possible.
Well, I don't know. Let me jump in here.
No.
In this whole journey I've had in like the last 2-3 years, I've realized that a human being is just not one thing. You are not just one thing. Like, a big portion of people may identify you with certain things. Like, if you are that good baseball player, the people that know you from playing baseball, they know you're a baseball player. Let's take Joe Rogan, for example, one of our paragons here with podcasting.
My spirit animal.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Yep.
Joe Rogan is a podcast host. Joe Rogan was also a television host for Fear Factor. Yep. Joe Rogan is also a commentator for the UFC. Yeah, Joe Rogan is also a father. Like, his daughter is
That's what makes him interesting, is that he wears many hats, that guy, and it's really interesting. And he was always the person who brought the potheads and the meatheads together. And it's good. It's a good where to start, in your journey of being a better person, because you don't want to be just a meathead or just a pothead.
Yes.
You want to be a little bit of both. And I think that people...
Not just both. Like, you're not one thing, and you're not just two things. You're everything that you need to be in order, first of all, to be happy.
Yeah.
In order to survive. Like, we have to traverse life. So you have to be everything you need to be to traverse life and to be happy. That's the big part. That's the big point I want to make.
Well, there's a bunch of different angles I want to kind of take this. I don't know how far I want to kind of deviate. Excuse me. But I'll mention this one quick thing, because this is what you reminded me of. There was a Marine back in the day named Chesty Puller. You ever heard that name before?
No, I have not.
But he's the ultimate Marine. Like, he was in, like, he's the Marine Corps prayer and everything. Like, he is he's the ultimate, like, badass Marine ever. And he had a son. I don't know what his name was or anything. Actually, Lewis Puller. And he wrote a book called Fortunate Son, which I don't want to read.
Oh, is that where that song comes from?
No, I think he was making a parallel of that song, kind of. Like, I am a fortunate son because I served in the Marine Corps. And I bring this up because I watched an interview with him. I think it was Charlie Rose, whatever it was. But when you're the son of this iconic, legendary Marine, right? Like, and you're a little kid, and like strangers would go up to him and say, "Hey," they salute him and say, "Chesty, I'm really, you were in this battle with me," whatever. Like, the admiration of being this famous Marine was so overwhelming that this little kid said, "I only have one recourse in life. I have to become a Marine, and I have to live up to my father's expectations of what it is to be a Marine." And it was like the admiration, or if that's the right word, that's what he wanted. And he went to Vietnam, and he served valiantly, but he stepped on a landmine and had his legs blown off and almost died. And he was... You guys can look him up. Lewis Puller Jr. was his name. Dark story. Jocko Willing talks about him a little bit. You guys can all Google this and kind of get the full story of everything that happened. But the point of the story is this. What he wanted more than anything was the admiration. And that's what a lot of people want. They want admiration. They want validation. They want, I am this, therefore I'm important. Therefore I'm special. And people do 100,000 different ways to accomplish this. We all have the
Everybody has a thing.
Everybody has a thing. So, like, to bring it back to what happened in Jacksonville, I mean, this guy had his one thing. I am a gamer. I'm a professional gamer. And it all kind of fell apart when he lost. And it's like, it's such a childish thing to do, and we have to, like, we have to get more, we have to talk more about this.
I want to get past, like, maybe it's not a childish thing, because a child wouldn't do that.
Maybe a child
would throw a tantrum.
Yeah.
But a child wouldn't.
My problem with that is that I really don't think childhood ever ends. I think it just kind of
very true
manifests, and you're just a larger child. You know what I mean? So, like, if you've ever been around little tiny kids, we're talking like infants or toddlers or anything, they're crying and they have no idea why they're crying. They're just like,
life is so terrible.
Like, and they're freaking out. It's like, do you want water? Do you want a drink? No. Do you want sleep? No. I just So we're kind of still doing that as grown-ups. We're just freaking out, and we don't know why.
Like, this is life, man. This is the society we set ourselves up with.
If you're hungry and you're fucking angry and you're hangry, you can eat and you feel better, But when you tried eating, you tried sleeping, you tried pounding one out, doesn't matter. Nothing ever works. You know what I mean? Like, now you're just like, what do I do now? And I think it was Louis C.K. who said that he's jealous of transsexual people because they know what their problem is. Like, I am a man, but I was born, I want to be a woman. Like, wow, you actually know what the problem is. Like, I'm really jealous of you because I don't know what the problem is with myself. Like, I can't do that because that's not what I want. So we're always stuck in this kind of weird thing where we don't know what the real problem is. And that might be something we can't even attain because we're looking to solve a problem that we don't know if it's going to do anything if we solved it.
Yeah, I want to bring this back to, and oh God, Jordan Peterson is just massive because I know this is an influence, but we always want to like there's so many groups that are being identified right now. It could be a racial group, it could be some sort of thinking group, it could be. This is a video game competition, right? So they're gamers.
There's going to be a lot of discussion about the video game culture after this week.
I cannot.
Yeah, so I mean, go ahead.
Spare us, right?
Yeah.
In terms of this identifying thing, but when you label groups, it's like an extra group to blame.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of that. I think people need to look within and see if they can blame themselves. Like he lost. If he didn't want to lose, maybe more practice could have been it. Or maybe he should not rely on that money so much and have another source of income or have something else that makes him happy.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of people nowadays, they want to blame something. They want to blame, like, you don't want to say it's you. One of the things that made me happiest within the last couple of years is I can blame myself.
Yeah.
And because I can blame myself, I can fix something.
Sure.
And it's just like, I think people need to understand that this is very big about identity, like the gamers and our games violence. This is all going to come. This is going to happen. Senators are going to get involved.
Yeah.
And even though this is a sports game, this is football.
Yeah.
The violent tendency is gonna be there, but I think we're just like that was a individual that needed to blame himself. I don't think we need to blame groups. We don't need to identify groups. These people, gamers are crazy, or people that play Madden are crazy, or people that go to events are crazy. I think this is an individual thing, and I hope it stays like that, and I hope we learn, and I hope the gaming community, because they are gamers, that I could say, they come together and they support one another a little bit more, or they try to figure out, because you're playing human beings, you're not playing bots or artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I just hope that's what this situation ends up as.
I think you're absolutely right, because I think the one thing that wherever you are in the spectrum of racial identity or class or whatever country, it doesn't matter. If you blame other people for your own problems, you're probably gonna fail at life. Like, you're probably not gonna turn out very well, because it's a counterproductive move to blame another person for your own shortcomings. And you could maybe have a point. Maybe someone screwed you out of money, maybe this or that. Okay, fine. But as a general rule, if you blame other people for your own problems, it's never going to work. I mean, own as many of your problems as you can and work hard to fix it.
Very true.
And you'll be way ahead of the game, you know.
You want to leave it at that? It's a good final word, Mike.
We can. I could talk for another 3 hours
about
this, but we can leave it at that.
It's identity. So we could talk about a sense of identity, and that's one of the biggest problems. That's why I think there's such an epidemic of depression, is you don't know who you are. You don't know what you're doing in life.
Yeah.
You're given this massive, huge society where you become an adult and you have taxes and you have to pay these bills and you have to do all this to just eat and stay afloat and live.
Yeah.
And something feels wrong, or something doesn't feel natural about it.
All I'm going to say is something is fucked here.
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean,
something
that's essentially what this podcast is going to be about. Yeah. Like, we're just trying to figure it out. We keep saying it. Our theme is we're just trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the tragedy of this whole thing is that if you took a time machine 200 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, we are living in such a fucking utopia right now.
Yep.
Where the ease of living, the technology, the resources, I mean, you can't ask for a better situation than 2018 America. I mean, it's fucking incredible, and nobody's happy. And I think we tried to pursue comfort to a point where it became a problem, it became a liability now, and we got to figure out a way to just figure it out where maybe seeking comfort isn't the way to go.
No, it's not.
Maybe seeking escape isn't the way to go. Like gratification. Maybe there's something else going on here that we got to talk about. And I mean, and what I hope to do with you on this podcast is like you said, we just got to figure this out long term. And if we only have effect on a small amount of people, those small people, I want them to get it.
Yeah.
And to just be better off.
And I'll leave this with a message to the people that are potentially going to be watching this. If you know me, if you know Mike, if this has come across to you because we made a couple good points, if there's a clip with this, who knows, right? But if you're listening to this, the both of us genuinely care about the world and what's going on. And I feel like if we have a discussion, inevitably having discussions is going to educate us. It's going to educate everyone. So if you're listening and you're willing to go along with a discussion, if you're willing to admit you're wrong, if you're willing to change for the better, this is what this podcast is about. We're just trying to figure this out, Mike.
Yep. And let me throw a couple of little things
go for it.
Avoid tribalism.
Yes.
Because that always leads to chaos and violence. And
be an individual.
And always have a way out for yourself and a way out for other people.
I'll agree with that.
Always, we need a way out, because if you get so invested in your ideas and so invested in your emotions and there's no way out, you become trapped and you become a slave, and then everything goes to hell.
All right, that's your final word.
Yep.
I'm just going to do the call to action, folks. So whether you got this link, please just leave a comment wherever you've heard this or saw us. Leave a comment, leave a like, whatever the case may be. Let us know that you acknowledge this, you saw it. Give us some feedback. Let us know if you want to we'll keep this discussion going. If we should talk about different things, send us ideas. But again, this is this is like a public service. We want to make things better. We're figuring this out. Yeah, Mike, you're laughing.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here. We're learning. We're still educating ourselves, and we want to just keep going. And we're gonna figure this out, Mike.
Eventually, might take us 20 years, but we'll do it.
Yeah,
so.
we'll do it as long as we can. Thank you, folks, for listening and watching, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, guys.